there is code that defines the rules on how people actually can interact with each other. Why should I want the platform to own it and have control over it? Okay, this is actually a powerful way to envision different futures. And I'm saying this in plural because there is not just one future. The problem in the blockchain space is that people forget sometimes about history. They think, oh, everything is new, so let's try everything from scratch and not learn from all the mistakes that we already did in the financial world. And then we looked into Ukrainian companies and they look very professional. If there is something better, I will switch to the better. And so that's my technical mind, right? So if there is a technical argument, you can convince me because I don't want to work and then live. I want to do both together. Hey, whatever I do, it must be something that I would also do without money. We have many genius engineers out there that have developed new blockchains that are better than Ethereum, and they still have failed.
Hello guys, today we are in surprisingly sunny Hamburg, and today with us Albert Peci. Albert is co-founder and Web3 lead at DeltaDAO. As well, he is full-stack developer, poet and feminist. Quite a wide title. So nice to meet you, Albert. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And let's talk about you first. We know that you are very passionate about blockchain technology. So, how it happened? When did you start your career in blockchain?
It happened actually quite early. I think in 2012 I was studying philosophy, and there I was looking into semiotics, so what is actually money from a semiotics viewpoint. And then I realized, okay, there is also this new money called Bitcoin, and I was looking into it from a philosophical standpoint. And then I realized, oh wait, it's actually money that you can just send around the world very easily. And I'm originally from Kosovo, and my family sends money from time to time there to support my family. And you have to pay a lot of fees to actually send money, especially from Germany to Kosovo. And then when I realized, oh, Bitcoin actually does this for free, this was just a practical solution to a problem that I had. And this is how it all started. Then I kind of lost track of this topic because it was, it's interesting, it's a nice technical topic, but it's still not ready. There are so many issues with it. And then 2016, something came up in the first world computer, Ethereum. And then I got interested again because it introduced a new concept that I thought of before Ethereum was introduced at all, that of decentralized autonomous organizations, so DAOs. And the main idea behind is that there is code that defines the rules on how people actually can interact with each other. Mm-hmm. And then I was hooked, and since then I'm learning everything about it from a technical perspective, but also like from a, let's say, philosophical or sociological perspective, because what's so nice about blockchain is it combines many aspects. So it just works because it also considers like the human nature. So it considers game theory. It's not just like computer science. And this went very well with my interests.
Interesting combination, philosophy and need to send money to the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite unexpected. Okay, and then what was your first project that you started with blockchain?
Well, the first, I would say, was very easy. During that time on Telegram, there were many communities, and they want to actually use the blockchain in an easy way. So what I did was creating a Telegram bot that actually allows you to send tokens from one account to another account. And this bot was quite successful, was used in different groups. Because people just started to tipping different tokens that they created themselves to each other, more like community tokens as we know them nowadays, like with NFTs and on Twitter and Instagram and so on. This was already all there like a couple of 5-6 years ago, and it was happening on Telegram. And was luckily one of the first actually to get involved there, but it just was very niche, right? So it was not something that everybody would understand, use, or even know about.
Okay, and like now, do you consider yourself more like entrepreneur or still like passionate developer?
I always thought of development as a tool. I really love to develop. Like I like to think, to tinker, to solve complex problems, to use all these methods, and then come up with some beautiful code that just runs and really turns vision into reality. That's always what I loved about code. But what many people actually miss, especially when you call yourself full stack developer, they usually just think about the product cycle, the full product cycle. But there is more to it. It's not just also the business side which also comes to it, but also like, okay, my product actually has some impact on people's life in the best case. And I'm also, because this is basically my philosophical background, let's say, that I always try to consider this aspect as well when I develop something. So I would say nowadays, I don't know if entrepreneur is like the right term, but I rather tend to this, but with a technical foundation. So this is still like what I use when I look at things. It goes with technical ideals like simplicity. It must be open source, transparent. So this all what drives me. And I would say these are rather technical ideals that I got from the tech community. But still, I don't just talk in code.
Okay. And if you already touched the topic of your products, on your LinkedIn it is mentioned that your main project now is DeltaDAO.
Yes.
So what is it about?
DeltaDAO was founded like 1.5 years ago, and we all came from the Web3 community where we were involved in a project called Ocean Protocol as volunteers. And there we met and realized, what Ocean Protocol tries to do is ready for the industry now. And the main idea behind Ocean Protocol is that it tries to actually make data trading available, so without using any central platform. So, quick example, let's say you have some selfies on your phone, and now you want to actually sell them to some AI company so that they can train the algorithm.
Okay, I don't, but okay.
Okay. But many people have selfies, right? Or pictures of other people. And what you would do nowadays is either you sell the data directly, so they will see the faces, or you actually trust some third party like a platform, and then people need to trust this platform, and then the company goes there and gets the data from there. And both cases are neither GDPR compliant, nor do you really want to give up your faces or personal pictures to some company that you don't know. So what Ocean Protocol does is it turns everything around. So instead of sending the data to the algorithm comes to the data. And that's what we call compute to data. And there is an infrastructure behind this that is based on blockchain or distributed ledger technologies. And we realized, okay, this is great. This works for the Web3 community. The tech is there, the backend is there, the smart contracts and so on. But what is missing now is bringing this to the enterprises, because this is where the data is actually living. And how can we break up the data silos and actually make them available to be analyzed, to be monetized? And we thought, okay, let's do this, let's bring this to companies. And then at the same time, we discovered GaiaX, which tries to do exactly this. They have this vision, but what they were lacking was actually the implementation. And I would say one of our main contributions is that we did this integration work and this translation work. So what does the Web3 world already offer and has developed since years, and what does GaiaX and enterprise need? And this transitioning, this is very successful, I would say, right now, because more and more people understand the concept and also accept that you can do it now and not something that is a vision for 10 to 15 years or whatever.
And if we touch the topic of Web3, maybe you could also explain to us, to me, to our viewers, like why Web3 is now so popular and what is its future?
I think to answer this properly, let's look quickly into why we call it Web3 at all. So if you have a term like this, then you would assume there's also Web 1 and Web 2, right?
Yes.
And actually, yes, you could contextualize it this way. So the Web 1 was something where you would have just read access. So a couple of universities mainly, they actually published content, and others were able to consume this. But there was no interaction or nothing, so the web was very static. This changed completely with social media, where we got the Web 2, where people actually started to interact with each other. So next to the read concept or the read permission, you now also had write permissions. So this was great. We could now communicate on platforms.
Okay.
But this is how we created the platform economy. So we have now different platforms ranging from Instagram to Facebook, or like now Meta, both to TikTok, to whatever. And what is still missing is the ownership part, because the ownership of data and everything that you do on these platforms is with the platform owners. Now Web3 actually does bring ownership to the web and says, hey, everything that you do there, you can prove that it's yours. And this will actually break many things up and allow new forms of economies that actually will break platforms open. And I think, why is it nowadays so popular, or more and more people learn about it? I think there are a couple of reasons, but just to mention two is, first of all, the tech is finally ready, I would say. So there are still some issues that we need to solve, but everything is like reasonable thought of. And then the second thing is, with NFTs, people suddenly realized, hey, it's not just about money. Yes, finance is a big part of Web3. And I know why you're laughing, because yes, many people actually invested into this and thought, okay, I could get rich quick and so on. But more and more people actually realized, oh, it's about communicating values. And you can own an item. That's the thing, right? You still can pay for it and so on. That's an important part. But what's important is that I have something that I can own, and I can buy it, I own it, and then I go from Instagram to Twitter or whatever and just take my items with me. And that's what is actually more and more people, once they get this concept, they're like, yes, of course I want to own my data. Of course I want to own my items. Why should I want the platform to own it and have control over it? And yeah, that's, I guess, what we see right now.
Okay, we will dig into this topic more in details a bit later. But now we'd like also to ask you about your volunteering project called Ocean Protocol. Like, what does it bring to the table? And what is your role there?
So in Ocean Protocol, I'm always looking for different Web3 projects and see what they bring in terms of value to my different projects. And for Ocean Protocol, I was surprised that they actually solved many problems that we have in the data economy. So one thing that I already mentioned was breaking up silos. And another important aspect is actually price finding. So how do you do price finding nowadays when you have actually data that you want to sell from company A to company B? It's usually we sit in a room, then we talk to each other, and maybe I like you or we have a long-term relationship, and then I do the price X. But you don't really know if it's worth it, we just agree upon it.
Yeah.
So there is no open market for it. And Ocean Protocol actually tries to open all of this up, making it transparent, and also making it or automating it, so everything is standardized. And since it's a protocol, you don't have to trust any third party again here. So you don't have to trust platform A and they say, hey, do it this way, and then maybe next week or next year or whatever they tell you to do it that way. And all of this is not given, so it's completely trustless. And this is how I got interested in this, and also the people that work there are very talented, and they're also very well known in the Web3 scene. So I was like, okay, that's a cool place. So with the right people, let's see what we can do there. And they have a volunteer program that I joined. And one of the first projects that I did also with OTAKOYI then later together was the Ocean Academy. Because at this point it was still very difficult for people to grasp, okay, what is Ocean Protocol, what does it do? And I thought, okay, the very first step would actually be explaining it to people. And yeah, that's what we did there. And since then, I'm mainly rather involved on the enterprise side with DeltaDAO, where we also use the Ocean Protocol stack. And the community, I'm looking into it because I'm still interested, but we are rather an adopter of the technology, let's say. So we have, you could put it like, we have outgrown this part of the community and now doing something different. But everything that, or the origins of DeltaDAO is actually the Ocean Protocol community.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You know, I have to ask it, like Ocean Protocol, Ocean Academy. and we know with you your nickname on Telegram. So is it somehow connected?
No, this was a complete coincidence. I really think the username, especially of developer, so is something important, at least to me personally. And I thought a lot. Okay, how do I want to call myself? And actually, ocean, just because I grew up by the ocean and by to actually have this connection to the tech world. And then I joined Ocean Protocol and I was shit. Like,
okay, you had no choice then.
Yeah, they have. Now everybody will think it's related to that. It's not, but it's also not a bad thing to be connected to that. So.
Okay, I see. As far as I know, you are also supporting some open source projects. So what are they?
Yeah, so everything that I do is focused on being open source. I truly believe that this is the way to go, especially in this field where I'm working, where we are rather creating an economy and not so much a platform that is closed and that I want to protect. But the more people participate in what I'm doing, the more profitable it is to me. And I don't mean profitable in terms of money, but profitable in terms of knowledge exchange. And the different projects that I do are mainly in the Web3 space. And there we have this attitude, everything should be open. And I was mainly involved in different educational programs because I thought, okay, this is what is lacking right now. And was also a great way for me to learn about other protocols, to really dig into the details. And this is also where I got a lot of support from OTAKOYI actually with designs and implementation and so on. That I did there, and it's mainly, I would say, web applications to backend scripts and servers or services that I implemented that you can find, on either my own GitHub or all the different projects that I worked for.
Yeah, so actually, my next question was supposed to be about your educational projects, but you already managed to answer it. And then I know that you organize lots of conferences and hackathons about blockchain. So which one was the biggest and how long does it take to organize such events?
So I would say the biggest, but this was definitely not me, I was just supporting there, was Blockchains. It's a conference that is actually done by a Hamburg-based company. And then what they tried is to really do a meaningful big conference that also is not happening in Paris or Berlin or Barcelona, but also actually another city, because the main idea behind blockchain is that it's decentralized. So, and I really like, okay, that's cool. You want to really bring people also into other cities so that they can connect there. And that's how it started. And it's a lot of work in terms of, okay, you have to first design the program. So what do you want to actually talk about? Is it meaningful? And is it also something that will have some impact on what we're doing? And then try to reach out all the different speakers and convince them, hey, on this day, during this time, do you want to talk about that topic? And there I mainly help with like looking for people and helping with the program and really shaping on what we talk about, and also did a couple of interviews and also had my own presentation and so on. So this was my main involvement, but in general I always supported very different hackathons, mainly Web3 hackathons, where I was either creating a challenge or onboarding people or just again educating them, hey, this is what it's about, so doing an introduction, a lecture or whatever. So this is how I was involved there.
And you know, I also know that you have a project where you, not you, but users sell NFTs via cinematography. So could you maybe tell a few words about that?
Yes. So the main idea behind this is that when we look into the movie production scene, it's mainly dominated by Hollywood. And this has now changed with players like Amazon and Netflix and so on coming up and having their own studios. But it's still very US centric, let's say. And I really like Hollywood movies, and there are many great artists and actors and also directors coming from there. But what I'm missing is they always tell similar stories. And what I see what will happen through Web3 is that more and more people will actually create communities where they will create new kinds of artifacts. So it started all with pictures that we are seeing now in the NFT space, but I think this is just the beginning because it's easy to grasp, right? You buy a picture, it's yours, and you can do whatever you want with it. But you can do it with other media as well. With music it has started, and also with movies. So it's just a logical consequence. And always, also when I studied a lot of movies and looking into this, and I always thought, okay, this is actually a powerful way to envision different futures. And I'm saying this in plural because there is not just one future. And the only futures that we are getting delivered are from Hollywood, which is fine, but they tell you a very specific way on how to look at the world. And what I like about blockchain is that, okay, actually allows also people to get onboarded that don't have access to Hollywood and tell their stories, their narrative, and their perspective. And this is what I would like to support. And we started with it with a nice design, also thanks to OTAKOYI here that support us with coming up with this. And now the next phase is actually building up a community, and then really let the community decide, hey, what do you want to see?
Okay, and just one off-topic question while we are by the topic of Hollywood movies. You mentioned that you like Hollywood movies. Which one is your favorite?
Oh, my favorite, that's definitely difficult. I would say I'm very director-driven. So
okay, me too.
Nice. So it ranges from Kubrick, very old style, but like what I really like about him is that he was a photographer, right? And now he actually does movies, and you see that in his pictures, like every scene is also photography. Okay. So it's very well compositioned. And then nowadays I prefer people like Tarantino, or also people like Baz Luhrmann, and also Christopher Nolan.
Oh yeah, so, that's my favorite.
Okay, nice.
So now we are switching to industry-related questions. Now everyone is talking about Metaverse, about NFTs and Web3. So what, or maybe say, why they became so popular? And are these technologies of the future or just like temporary trends?
I think one picture that we should use here is the idea of thinking of Web3 as a new set of protocols that we are developing. So on protocols, there will be different applications. And the very first application was money with Bitcoin. So this is very easy to grasp once you get the idea. And then we got also other technologies, or let's say other applications better, like now NFTs. You can own something. And this started with the images, so you can own an image, but this is already expanding to other media. So you can own music, you can own movies, whatever. You can even own a house. People are experimenting with this. So it just represents ownership. And what people now realize, oh, that's great. So I can also use this in communities and actually can be part of a community. I can have data or an NFT as an access token to actually get access to a community.
Okay.
And the Metaverse actually tries to combine all of these things. So many people just think of Metaverse as something that is happening in the virtual world. But I would say, yes, this is part of it, definitely. But the more important is that it actually connects the offline world with the digital world in a way that now it allows you to actually consume and also sell digital items in a very easy way that was not possible before. And therefore, I don't think that it's a trend. That's definitely something that will happen next. And I have a very easy and economical explanation for that, because it's just cheaper. It's as simple, because you don't need a third party that provides you with a full infrastructure, but there is an open infrastructure that everybody can utilize. And the payment process and everything that is related to that, so tracking, account management, and so on, and also sending the money, is already given for everybody. It's not for free, so you pay with it for fees, but you don't have to pay this third party that needs to build the infrastructure in the first place. So it's already, everything is there. And now we are learning, okay, how to utilize this infrastructure to actually incorporate this into our lives. And I think that's what we should think of as the metaverse, is just really bringing these structures into our everyday life. And you see this happening already since a couple of years without calling it metaverse, especially in the gaming industry, where we already have these virtual economies, virtual items, people are selling, buying, and so on. And now we are just bringing this to different aspects as well.
Okay, and if we touch this topic, so the popularity of DAOs and DEFIs is only increasing. And how do you think, is there a chance they can have a bad impact on the global economy?
A bad impact, maybe in that regard that it's still something that is difficult to grasp, first of all, and even if you understand it's also difficult to actually know exactly who is behind it. Always depends on the project, because every project is unique. It's like in the internet, you can have like bad and good websites. You can also have in the blockchain space like bad and good DeFi projects or DAOs. And usually these DAOs, they operate in the way that they have a smart contract, so just a collection of rules. And now people actually put money into this smart contract, and then as a group they decide what they want to do with this. And there are very different DAOs. So the most simple DAO is a DAO that actually puts money together and then they buy something and then they sell it again. And that's how they make money. But you can also have much more complicated and also sophisticated governance. So at DeltaDAO, for example, we're using this to actually organize our own company. So everything or every important decision that we do is a proposal, in the DAO, and then people can actually vote for it. And they can also create counter proposals and so on. So it's more, DAOs are rather a governance model, and this can be used for good and bad. So I would say it's, I don't like the term neutral technology. Technology is never neutral, but at least it allows you to, I would rather look into this from a technical perspective and say it's a governance tool. And what you do with this is very different. And to answer your question, yes, you could also build something like a worldwide DAO that actually tries to harm the economy somehow. But what is the goal behind this? So why should somebody do this? Usually DAOs are formed to actually profit and or do something usually even good. So if you want to do something bad, you can do it with blockchain, with internet, with whatever. So I don't necessarily think that blockchains inherently are bad for the economy. And last thing, DeFi, so decentralized finance, this is something where we are still learning, okay, what kind of DeFi is actually bad, because not every DeFi is good. And the problem in the blockchain space is that people forget sometimes about history. They think, oh, everything is new, so let's try everything from scratch and not learn from all the mistakes that we already did in the financial world. And so they repeat mistakes, and this is probably what is dangerous then.
Yeah. You know, I wanted also to ask you about your motto, like using blockchain to build a better world. However, I believe you already answered this question a few times. So then I will ask you about another stuff. The rumor says that one of your hobbies is poetry, and you couldn't but connect this with your main life passion, blockchain. So what is your book about, and when will we see it in the bookstores?
So the main idea behind the book is that if we look into art nowadays, and especially into different visions of the future, we mainly see dystopian futures. So how robots and AI will take over and destroy everything. And if we don't see that, then the other option, if we think of the future, is okay, how do we survive the present, like the climate crisis and so on. And this is all not very appealing to me. Like, yes, it's important and also helpful to actually consider risks and when you plan something, but I want to live and build also towards something. And what we're missing nowadays is a shared vocabulary, shared images, metaphors that we can both use to actually talk about a better world. So when I ask many people about how does a better world look like, they don't have a good answer. And I realized me neither. And I started this book actually to find a good answer to this. And hopefully one day I will complete it and also share it with others. And then they can use at least the same metaphors and the same vocabulary. And then we can talk about this. And I think blockchain actually, or Web3 technology in general, is one step that I understand very well, that I would like to actually explore in an artistic way, to see if it really creates a better world or not, or how we should utilize it that it does. Because without the goal, we can have whatever technology, it won't create a better world. So that's what this book is about, and also what I believe art should do nowadays, actually help us explore different visions of the future. And I don't know when I will finish, so hopefully one day you will see it and read it.
We hope so too. So we wish you luck with this book.
Thank you.
Hopefully we will get one
Absolutely.
piece of it. And then also from your LinkedIn, it is we found out that you studied game developing during your university years. Mm-hmm. So have you ever thought about developing 3D Metaverse games in the future?
Yes, I thought about this, and it's definitely something that I would not rule out. But right now, I think there are more fundamental issues that needs to be resolved first before I think about this kind of applications. I think there are also many other talents that can do this very well. So I don't necessarily see that I would bring extraordinary value if I would go in this direction. But it's a passion of mine. So, and I also have a couple of ideas where I think, okay, this would be cool, but it's really just, it's cool, right? So it's maybe even also from economical perspective reasonable to do it. But right now I'm really focused on, okay, how can I bring value on a fundamental layer? And this is not necessarily done through 3D games, but this might change in the future.
Then let's talk more about your business. We've been partnering with you for already a couple of years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we as a company support you with development of different projects. Maybe you could also recall how it happened that you started working with us, and in general, if you ever worked before with Ukrainian companies.
No, it was, well, there was one Ukrainian company that I tried to work before I actually met OTAKOYI, and I was sitting here in this office actually with my partner, and we had this idea, and we were like, okay, we need to implement this quickly because our client, they want this in the next couple of weeks. And we realized, okay, this is nothing that we can do on our own, so we will need additional support. We looked into different companies also from Germany, but we did not focus just on the German market. We were like, okay, whoever has the skills should actually support us. And then we realized, okay, Ukrainian developers are very skilled. And I was not aware of this before actually, because I just had no touch point. And then we looked into Ukrainian companies, and they looked very professional. So then we just started to write to them, and the first company responded. We had a meeting, everything was clear, everything was set up. And then one day before we actually wanted to start, they just blew us up because, well, there was an excuse, but after all, I don't know what happened. And then we looked for different partners and or a different company to support us. And then for one day we talked or even 2 days straight for 8 hours each day, we talked to different companies and explained them, hey, this is what we're doing, how can you help us, or can you help us at all? And when we talked to you, this was actually already in the first day, we were like, okay, cool. They understand what we want to do. They have the technical capabilities. They also ask the right questions. They can provide the resources fast. And we had the the impression that you really care also about the business side. So it's not just, hey, here's a technical problem, solve it for me, but you actually thought about the whole product. And this is what we liked, as we don't, especially this first product was very, there were technical issues, but this was not the main point. It was more about the aesthetics, the user experience, and there you have to understand what the product is about. And yeah, this is what OTAKOYI actually gave to us, this understanding, and then it went all very quick. And this is also always what I really loved working with you. So it was always, yeah, we have an idea, we call, and then you already start implementing it. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for this wide and professional and flattering feedback. It is very pleasant to hear. Then maybe let's talk about your vision of like different models in IT industry. So like based on your opinion, what model of partnering is better, outsourcing or dedicated team? So like since you are a developer yourself, you know the difference, you know how it works. So could you explain to us, to our viewers, what model is better for you and why?
Mm-hmm. So it heavily depends on the project that you're doing. So one of the concerns that you have when you outsource something, you also don't build any internal knowledge that you can utilize in the future again. This is but not always true, right? Because, for example, I have a good relationship to OTAKOYI, so when I come back to you, you usually try to give the same people. So they already have a base knowledge of the project and don't need to restart from the very beginning. But at some point, they might be on their holidays or busy or whatever, so maybe somebody else needs to come in. So this is the drawback when you look into outsourcing. But the good thing is, for example, let's say there's a new feature that the client wishes to be developed or that I just need for the market to actually launch quickly. You can't just onboard like 10 people and throw them at it and they are supposed to finalize this and then you fire them again. That's not how it should be. So in these cases, outsourcing is the right way to go. And this is especially true for the Web3 space, where you have like very quick moving targets. And if you have expertise that you can just buy in very from time to time, it helps to actually deliver faster than everybody else. For actually having everything in-house and building your knowledge, this is something that I always do in parallel. So it's not just one thing or the other. I always do this as well, and I also try to actually get the knowledge that this outsourced developer actually brought to the project and bring it back to the team. Mm-hmm. So ideally, then the team knows themselves how to do it. But it's not always the case that you need to have like everybody in the team. So as long as there's a couple of persons, it's also good documentation, and you can live with outsourcing without all the drawbacks that I just mentioned.
Okay, and maybe you would recommend like some criteria for choosing a development vendor, like for your partners, for your friends, for our visitors. Like name 5 criteria that are like of the utmost importance for choosing right vendor. Mm-hmm.
So what we did in the beginning was, okay, let's do a technical test. And this was important for me because I have a technical background, so I can assess the code quality. And then I just see, okay, how, first of all, do you handle this issue? Do you ask questions? What kind of response do you give to me while we are talking about it? So this is the first part. So how do we work together? Not even talking about code yet, just, okay, do you really understand what I want? So this communication, I would say, is one very important aspect. Then the next thing is, of course, the code quality itself, like the tech that you provide or the expertise. There, it's difficult. If you don't have your own technical expertise, it's difficult to assess for you. But it's definitely something that if you have the opportunity, you should check for it. Then the third thing that is important for me is also reliability. So it's great if you can build this perfect application, but if you don't deliver on agreed terms, or if you don't communicate properly, hey, there is this and that issue, it could mean this and that, or we have to remove this feature or whatever. Everything can be talked about, so that's not a problem. It's just, hey, is it reliable in terms of, okay, they deliver first of all, of course, and also if they don't, do they let me know so that I can plan accordingly? So I would say these 3 main characteristics is what is important to me, at least when I look for other people. And then there are more like soft aspects, like okay, do I like them? Because I rather like to have long-term relationships with the other enterprises and companies. And if I have always to be like, okay, it works somehow, it's fine. I mean, we are professionals, so it will be all right. But if I can choose between, hey, I have a good time with that person, or I just have a professional relationship to that person, to that company, I would always prefer the one where I have a good relationship, because it also allows you to actually talk more in a creative way about the problems. So it's not just, hey, let's talk super technical and super business, but actually let's brainstorm a little bit maybe. And also sometimes when I talk to OTAKOYI and the project managers, they sometimes come up with a very good idea, because they are also like open-minded, and we talk, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I have not thought about this. That's great, let's do that. And yeah, these are the things that what I'm looking at. And then maybe to mention last aspect, as you asked for 5, need to quickly think about this.
Okay, 4 is enough.
Okay, then 4 is enough. Yeah, that's what is important to me.
Okay, thank you. So now let's talk about your future plans. So, when do you plan your next hackathon and where?
So the next hackathon, I think will be something DeltaDAO and data economy related. We don't know when this will happen. Definitely not this year anymore. So this is something for the next year. But there, I would really like to educate more people about the concept of GaiaX. And actually, again, educate them, hey, how can you use it? What can you do with it? Onboard them. So it's the same story as with Web3. The technology is there, so we just need now people to understand, grasp it, and then build from their perspective, their applications, and solve their problems, because it's just an infrastructure. So what you do with it is now up to the different users. And yeah, this is what we want to support, and I think hackathons are a great way to do so. Because one result of great hackathons is that you have working code in the end that you present. And especially in Web3, many companies and projects have evolved or emerged from hackathons. And I think we can repeat the same mechanism here.
How many you had this year?
This year, I think at least 2, 3, and then there was... Personally, I was like involved in 5 to 6, but not always like a host or something. So in very different roles. So from organizer to participant to like speaker, and so very different roles. But what I like about hackathons as well is you go there or even online, and then you meet new people, and they have like their perspective on things, and then again something comes together, and you build something that you have not thought of before. So it's a great room or place to actually meet and have this very basic discussion on, hey, how do you see this? And this helps tremendously, because everything that we do in this field is interdisciplinary. So you can't just think from a tech perspective or business perspective. This will not work. And the more perspectives we have, the more fun, first of all, it is, but also the more rich the product will be, and also more problems will be actually touched and eventually even solved.
Okay, thank you. So, and as far as I'm concerned, you like to participate in new startups, new projects, but for some period of time. So, do you plan to build any new startups, or maybe participate in some startups? And if yes, only blockchain related, or maybe some other direction as well?
I think for the next couple of years, I'm very dedicated to the current projects that I have. I think we are in a state where I still don't feel like I would like to leave, because it's too interesting. The challenges are very sophisticated, so it's a lot of fun for me, and also it's very meaningful work that I do there. In the future, I really like to explore different ideas in different fields. So for sure, I will also do some other startups, and very likely it will be in the Web3 space. But by then, the Web3 space will be so diverse that if I say I'm doing Web3 stuff, it's like I'm doing something in the internet. So it can be anything. So I don't know what it will be in the end, but it will be for sure with these technologies that I'm using nowadays, if they are still the best solution. Because while I would call myself a Web3 native, I don't think that it's the only solution. So if there is something better, I will switch to the better. And so that's my technical mind, right? So if there is a technical argument, you can convince me. I'm not like, I'm not a believer of technology. I'm a user.
Okay, makes sense. So what is your favorite place to get some dose of inspiration, and what type of environment makes you tired?
Oh, tired.
Yes.
Let's start with that. Maybe like super long meetings.
Super long interviews.
No, interviews are fine if they're fun. But yeah, meetings sometimes, this may be again my engineering mindset, where I think, okay, this is a little unnecessary.
Completely agree with you. Same stuff here, really. I hate meetings.
Yeah, so you can relate. And what's very a good environment for me is actually something that does not necessarily look like a traditional office. Like also where we are here, it's more like
it doesn't look.
Yeah. You can be on the couch, and this is actually where I write most of my code, because it's just like a comfortable situation. I'm like, oh cool, I can hack something and relax at the same time. So this is how it feels.
So you created new word, couch coder.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Yeah, maybe I should change my title to that. So yeah, it should be relaxing and an environment where you're really invited to, hey, let's explore this topic together, and not let's do this job like in the fabric or so, where you just have to do A, B, and C, and this is the way how you do it. But actually, hey, here's an issue. Let's see how we can solve it, and whatever is needed, let's do it. And if there is an environment that allows me to be this freely, I feel very comfortable.
Okay. So, and as I know, you're extremely busy, and it is so difficult to catch you, and we are actually recording this interview on Sunday.
Yes.
Because it was the only way where we could, like, when we could find you. So, like, how many hours per day you work? And other question, how do you relax?
Oh yeah, now I have a bad answer for that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, you know yourself, right? If you're running a company and are involved in different projects, it's not like this traditional work-life balance. And also don't think that it's a good way to distinguish this, because I don't want to work and then live. I want to do both together. So what I decided from the very early beginning, hey, whatever I do, it must be something that I would also do without money. And luckily I'm in the situation that I can do many things where I get paid for it, but at the same time I will do them anyway. So I don't feel like really exhausted in the first place. It's rather something that I'm, oh cool, so I can wake up and work on stuff that I love. And therefore I don't necessarily need this part where I distance myself from work, but I still need to relax, of course. And relaxing part is something that is rather happening on the weekend, because during the week it's literally like 12 plus hours that I work. It's impossible otherwise, or I would give things up. But if I do that, then I still think about it. Like, it's just how my mind works. And during the weekend, I like to go to the museum, watch a movie, meet friends. So really like think of something else, basically. And the best way to do so is by giving myself to art, to movies, to actually a nice evening, nice food. I love to eat. I don't look like, but I love to eat. So this helps me with relaxing, actually.
Okay, makes sense. So, and maybe the last question, how would you describe your year so far? Like, was it successful or average year, or maybe the worst year?
I would say I'm very lucky that each year, like since the last 10 years, got better and better. Does not mean like every year was super successful, but when I just look into my life from a career perspective, I'm like, oh, wow, like every day is getting better. Like every year is, I'm getting more and more confirmed. I'm getting confirmed with everything that I'm doing with Web3, because I started this journey like a long time ago. So I mentioned 2012 with Bitcoin and later 2016 with Ethereum. And in the beginning, it was something that people were like, okay, you're crazy, or you're a criminal, or you don't understand how economy works, or whatever. And now everybody's talking about it and everybody's using it. So I'm in this very luxurious position, let's say, that I was lucky. So in the end, I'm very convinced of this. Yes, I work hard, I work a lot, but in the end, you also need to be lucky. And fortunately, I was.
To be in the right place at the right moment.
Exactly. So potentially, blockchain would have taken another 5 years, and maybe I would have not survived in terms of financial possibilities, and I would have needed to do something else. But it happened much earlier, so I can stay in this field. And yeah, I would say hard work and luck.
Okay. Do you receive any calls from your acquaintances, your partners, friends who before called you crazy and criminal with the question which currency, like cryptocurrency, is better to invest now?
Yes, this happens a lot, and I'm always telling them, first of all, I can't give any financial advice, so I'm in this field where I always have to put this, but also even if I could, so literally nobody knows the future. So whoever tells you, hey, this is gonna be the next Bitcoin or whatever, nobody knows. What I know though is that I can look into the tech and say, hey, this is solid and this is not. And then I can at least tell, okay, from a technical perspective, this could become something successful. But this does not mean that it will, because there is much more than tech to it. We have many genius engineers out there that have developed new blockchains that are better than Ethereum, and they still have failed for one or the other reason. And so whenever I tell them, hey, here are a couple of projects that I like from a technical perspective, and usually I ask them to read the white paper, which is like a technical description of what the blockchain is about, or the protocol, better said. And most people jump out of it. So they just like, no, I don't want to dig into this. I just want to invest my money.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, exactly. But this is, I mean, you can do it. That's no advice that I would ever give to anyone. Whenever you put money into something, understand it first. I mean, you don't need to go to like the lowest level of technical understanding, but at least understand the concept. And what I have observed in the Web3 space, many people, they don't. they either pretend or they don't pretend at all, and they're just like, okay, cool, I just made a lot of money out of this. I don't really care how it works or if it works at all.
I believe this approach relevant not only for Web3 and cryptocurrency.
Yes, yeah.
So, and maybe another question, but you can answer just yes or no. Did you personally invest your money into any cryptocurrency?
Yes, I put my money where my mouth is, so definitely invested.
Okay, that's great. So you, during this interview, a few times mentioned the name of our company. You know, for our clients who are English speakers, it is quite difficult to pronounce typical Ukrainian word, and you did it a few times. So I will ask to do it one more time for our viewers. Yeah. So could you repeat? In Ukrainian, we say OTAKOYI.
Yeah.
Could you repeat?
Yes, OTAKOYI.
Okay, almost there.
Almost. What's missing?
A bit softer ending, yi. It's like, you know, it is also, it is like our proud, because we have this letter, and in other languages, like in other regions, they don't have it. So we use it quite often.
So it's OTAKOYI?
Yes, it's OTAKOYI.
OTAKOYI. Okay.
Okay. Emphasis on another sound, but still it is very good. So thank you. And one more time, thank you for this interview, for opportunity to meet here in your beautiful sunny office with a lot of light, and for this interesting conversation. Yeah, then we wish you to enjoy the rest of Sunday, and hope to meet you again either in Hamburg or elsewhere, or you will come to us to Ukraine. We will be glad to see you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, let's keep building on our next project.
Sure. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.